February 15th, 2017 meeting of the Windsor Planning Commission will now come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Gail Schick,
Present?
Victor Talon,
Present.
Doug Dennison,
Present.
Jerry Bushelman,
Present.
Steve Shuffle,
Here.
Ron Harding,
Here.
Tim Annabelle,
Here.
Ken Bennett,
Here.
Thanks, Crystal. First item on tonight's agenda is a review of the agenda itself by the Planning Commission for any addition of items or new business to be added to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the agenda as written.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Harding, that we accept the agenda as written. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no. And motion carries unanimously. Next item is public invited to be heard. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to present something to the commission tonight that is not on our agenda, now would be the time to do so. And anybody coming up to give public input, you basically have a 3-minute time frame to give your comments. And there is a timer that's on the podium. And when there is, there's a red, yellow, green light system there. When there's 30 seconds left for you to finish up your comments, you'll get a yellow light. And then after the 3 minutes, it will turn red. And then I think there's a trap door in there that falls out and takes care of the 3 minutes. If there is anybody who wishes to present anything or make some comments that is not on tonight's agenda, if you would come to the podium at this time. Seeing there be none, we'll move to the next item, which is the consent calendar. This evening's consent calendar consists of the approval of the minutes of the January 18th, 2017 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the January 18th, 2017 meeting.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Annabelle, that we approve the consent calendar as presented. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no. Motion carries unanimously. Moving into our board action items. First item is a waiver request of Commercial Corridor Plan 3A2 for Champion annexation. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Planning Commissioners. This request by Mr. Ryan Hadler of Come and Go, represented by Mr. Josh Arampos, sorry about that, butchering the name, of Olson Associates, is requesting a waiver from the Commercial Corridor Plan, Section 3, subsection A2. The corridor plan states that requests for design criteria waivers shall be subject to review and determination by Planning Commission. The Planning Commission may grant, conditionally grant, or deny any waiver request brought under this subsection. In order to receive a waiver, the applicant shall have the burden of establishing justification for waiver approval under the following criteria. Strict application of the applicable standard will result in either extraordinary practical difficulty or undue hardship. The proposed waiver, if approved, will protect the public interest equally or better than the standard for which the waiver is requested, and approval of the waiver request will not be detrimental to the public interest. The site is located on the Champion annexation on the southeast corner of State Highway 392 and 257, just to the east of the Lakeview Cemetery. The property is zoned general commercial. And the waiver request is from Commercial Corridor Plan, Section 3, Sub A2, which states that the intent of this subsection is to minimize parking adjacent to Main Street and other major arterial streets and to encourage the location of buildings closer to those streets. Furthermore, subsections B and C state the following. All buildings and landscaping shall be oriented to minimize the visual impact of parking areas, and parking areas shall be minimized between the street and building entrances. This site development is in the early stages of planning, and the property will require a subdivision as well as a site plan submittal. The applicant has been made aware that there are a number of potential issues with their design that conflict with the commercial corridor plan. However, they have requested to move forward with just the one issue of the parking location adjacent to Main Street at this time to get clarity of how to move forward. So as seen on the enclosed drawings, the applicant is proposing to locate the parking lot and the fuel islands and canopy between State Highway 392, or adjacent to 392. The intent of the commercial corridor plan is to minimize parking and paving adjacent to arterial streets, given the negative visual impact of those. Located buildings closer to the street with parking located behind helps create a more inviting streetscape. Additionally, the comprehensive plan discusses the potential for this area to serve as a gateway to Windsor, as well as the need for development to complement the Lakeview Cemetery. An example of a gas station which complies with the commercial corridor plan is the Schrader's Country Store in Water Valley off of Eastman Park Drive. In this case, the parking islands are located on the opposite side of the building. And the 7-Eleven built on Crossroads is a recent example of a gas station that was built which did receive a waiver to allow the parking and fuel islands to be located in front of the building. In that case, upgraded landscaping as well as building architecture were promised in exchange for that waiver. However, the applicant did not follow through on those promises and ended up with the site you see in front of you. The application is not consistent with the following parts of the comprehensive plan. Chapter 5D is the commercial and industrial areas framework. Objective 8 states, create a distinct sense of place for the town's commercial and industrial districts. Chapter 5D highlights the State Highway 392 corridor east, stating it has the potential to expand east beyond Great Western Drive, acting as a key gateway corridor into the town of Windsor. Furthermore, the relationship between Lakeview Cemetery and future development is mentioned in the comp plan. It states development on the other corners of this intersection should complement the cemetery, not detract from its existing character. Finally, Chapter 9, which is image, identity, and community character, states in Objective 1, utilize gateways and wayfinding signage to strengthen Windsor's presence in the northern Colorado region and reinforce its distinctive character in contrast to neighboring cities, particularly as a part of corridor streetscaping efforts. Staff is recommending an alternative to the request. So the applicant's request is on the left. Staff has proposed rotating the building 90 degrees. It does provide more screening from the intersection of the two state highways, but does still provide access and visibility from both 392 to the canopy and fuel islands, as well as from 257. But placing the building up closer to the corner gives it a more positive impact on the streetscape. Staff recommends the Planning Commission approve the waiver request with the following conditions. Number 1, the site layout shall be rotated 90 degrees so that the building would be located on the northwest corner of the site. This alignment would soften the impact of the cemetery and screen parking and fuel islands from the intersection of State Highway 392 and State Highway 257, while still allowing visibility to the fuel islands from 392. Number 2, the applicant shall continue to work with staff through the site plan process to provide substantial landscaping to reduce visual impacts of the parking lot and fuel island placement. And number 3, any other items which do not comply with the commercial corridor plan shall require additional waiver requests by the applicant and approval by the planning commission. With that, the applicant does have a presentation, so I can turn it over to them unless there's any immediate questions for staff.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I need to make my rules.
Ken?
Mr. Chair, for the record, I'd like to disclose that I'm a sitting member of the town board, and I am here in my capacity as non-voting liaison to the Planning Commission. Although I will be present during these proceedings, I will not be giving my opinion or participating in the discussion. I will not let tonight's proceedings influence or affect my review of this matter when it comes before the town board. I will make my decision at the town board level based solely on the evidence presented during the town board public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Paul, you want to have the applicant or his representative give their presentation?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Halder, and I'm the site development manager with Come and Go. Come and Go is a family-owned business. We're in our 58th year of operation. Currently, we have more than 430 locations located in 11 states. And we have, out of those 430 stores, over 100 stores that are LEED certified. And through our philanthropic efforts, we give back 10% of our profits to local charities and community organizations. And I'll just give a general overview of our new marketplace format here. Our slides got a little out of order, so I apologize for that. This is the new marketplace footprint, and as you can see, we feel it brings a a high-end contemporary look. This utilizes a cast stone base around the perimeter of the building, along with fiber cement panels and some accent aluminum trim. And same goes for our canopy. We really tried to hone in on bringing the building elements into the canopy, again, to give that high-end design and feel. You can see instead of just being one flat lineal piece of canopy, we've now got some projections and some bump up and some bump downs. These are a few generic perspectives. One thing to highlight here is we are really pushing the fresh food in our marketplace, or our Go Fresh Market. And you can see the corner here. Behind the wood paneling there is indoor seating. And you can see we have an outdoor seating patio area, as well as a public art ampersand sculpture here on the corner out in the island. And we are proposing one at this location as well. Again, just another perspective of the canopy. Here, this really highlights kind of the drop downs and some of that architectural detail that we've put in place on this canopy just to bring that higher end feel. This perspective is pulled back just a little bit further. And these are a couple photos of a marketplace store that we opened up. This is actually in a suburb of Des Moines, Iowa. It happened to be our first marketplace, so I apologize for a little bit of snow in the background, but this is exactly the look and the feel that we're proposing here in Windsor. Again, with the inside, we carried those high-end finishes into the inside there. We have subway tiles kind of in the kitchen area. You can see we have some nice ceiling elements to kind of tie it all in together, and high-end millwork and countertops there. Just a few more perspectives around the store. The upper right-hand corner is a good picture showing our fresh food offering and how we serve pizzas, and we have staff there that will tray it up for you at your request. We make made-to-order sandwiches, breakfast items, stuff of that nature. And again, just a few more of the seating area. The upper left photo is the interior seating area, and then the upper right is the outdoor patio seating area. And just a few more shots of that ampersand sculpture that we would be proposing at this location as well. And then I can bring up Josh Mosby with Olson Associates. He's gonna kinda go through more of the particulars of the actual site plan and layout itself.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. I'm Josh Aramosby with Olson Associates. It's a consulting engineering firm for Come and Go convenience stores located at 1880 Fall River Drive in Loveland. So the reason we're here tonight, as Paul eloquently explained, is that we're requesting a waiver from the commercial corridor criteria. And really the driver of this request has to do with visibility to the store. Specifically, Come and Go would prefer that the customers that are traveling on Highway 392 are able to see two things. One, they want customers to know that they sell fuel. And two, they want customers to be able to see that there are fueling spots available underneath their pumps and also available in front of their store, so that the customers understand that they're not too busy, that they can come in, they can get convenient gas, food, whatever they need, and then move on out. So in studies that we have done in the past, traffic related, we've determined that on average, about 60% of the patrons that visit convenience stores, particularly these convenience stores, are brought in from ambient traffic that is already on the roadway. And that number can fluctuate, it can get larger. I've seen it be a little bit smaller into the 50s, just depending on the backdrop. And we have not done a specific traffic study here, so I couldn't give you the exact number, but 60% on average is where we're at. And so in order to pull those customers in and have the business thrive, visibility is an important factor. We've considered staff's request to take the site plan and rotate it, as Paul had shown in his presentation, to have the store pushed up into the northwest corner and facing to the east. In Come and Go's mind, that's going to create the same problems in terms of visibility that would be seen with having the store rotated a full 180 degrees from where it's at in this photo right here, in that the eastbound traffic on 392 has a decision to make while they're near that intersection with 257 as to whether or not they're going to stop. Driving eastbound in that direction, if the store were pushed up to the northwest corner or sitting on the northern property line, that decision point moves further and further to the east. There is a single right-in, right-out there that would serve this development and give direct access to Come and Go store. So we feel like there's going to be lost availability to pull in customers as they're traveling on 392. The other item that we had looked at with staff's request to switch the footprint is we're kind of cornered in here by the water line easement that it's pretty tough to see here, but it's running along the southwest corner of the property. So that does constrain how Come and Go is able to rotate this layout and how they're able to fit it into the site. Again, with visibility being the number one driver here. We've been made fully aware of the struggles that happened with the 7-Eleven store. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen if you were to grant this waiver request. And there are things that we can do to ensure that that doesn't happen again. One, we want to work closely with staff in order to offer amenities that still allow some view corridors to the store, but also dress up the area that's along the trail on the north side of the site. Those could be increased landscaping. We could look at landscape knee walls to help screen headlights from spilling onto 392. We could look at berming on the outside as well to pull up the landscape and undulate it along 392 itself. Can those promises and or design elements be written into a development agreement, or could they become conditions of record? There's probably multiple ways to skin that cat, but we want to make sure that what we promise is delivered to the satisfaction of the board and staff and commission itself. So we think there's ways around it that we can make this look like a nice store and still put the layout or use the layout layout that serves Come and Go the best. I'm gonna try to move this forward. This is super tough to see. This is the landscape plan that we had put together to submit with this request. And as you can see, up in and around this area of the trail, there is a lot of landscaping. There's shade trees and shrubs both. There's no grading that has been done to this point. We haven't made it that far in the process yet, so we're not showing anything on this plan other than increased landscaping. But again, we're open to working with staff to provide other amenities in that area to help screen the site.
Josh, where's the easement for the water line that you were mentioning on the map you got there?
This easement runs right here.
Okay.
So, and then again, I'll give you a brief layout of the site. This is about a 6,200 some odd square foot convenience store, so it's a pretty large convenience store. Again, Ryan had mentioned all of the great fresh food and everything else that they provide in there. It's a pretty neat deal. If you guys haven't seen the store that was recently built in Evans, that's a great example of what this one will look like. Out front of the store, they've got a 7 starting gate canopy, so it's single stack canopy here with 7 spots on it. And then we're also showing a small diesel island right in this area right here for over-the-road fuel. This site would have access off of 392 through the roundabout and into this way here, and then I've also talked about the direct access through the right-in, right-out off of 392 in that direction. I am here to answer any questions you all may have.
So you're assuming that most of your traffic is gonna come in off of 392?
We believe so.
Okay. And then knowing the sensitivities that the city has with your plan, what accommodations have you made to your original concept before what we see here?
Other than adding more landscaping up top here, there have been no other provisions made. With the waiver request, I think in the narrative that we provided, along with the application, we had mentioned the increased amenities, but none of them are shown on the plan that's in front of you tonight.
So your concern is that having the pumps face 392 because of visibility, so that people can make a determination of whether or not they're gonna stop and get gas. But your suggestion here is to put a berm up or landscape the bejeebers out of it,
Yeah.
where they're not gonna see it anyway.
No, I understand the contradiction.
So if you turn it 90 degrees, you've eliminated that problem without putting a berm up and all kinds of landscaping where they can't see anyway.
Right, and when I say increase the landscaping there, I did mention that we want to provide view corridors, right? We're not intending to landscape it so much that you can't see the canopy at all. We want there to be certain view corridors where you can peek through the landscaping and see it as you're moving on 392, knowing that there's going to be a balance between what we plant there to provide visibility and then at the same time provide enough screening that would be amenable.
How often do you think your pumps are gonna be at full capacity where you're not gonna be able to serve another customer for 30 seconds or a minute?
That's a good question. Again, we haven't done a traffic study, so I don't know the number of trips to expect here in the peak hours, but the peak hours of the day are always the time when it's the busiest, and that would be between 7 and 9 in the morning and 4 and 6 in the afternoon.
Well, the side of the street you're on shouldn't be more in the afternoon, people coming home, they'd rather come up, you don't wanna turn in, it's coming home traffic is what
Yeah,
you're worried
it's the
about,
going
right?
home traffic that they want to capture.
Okay. I just see that turning the building to me makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
rather than landscaping and berming it where you're not gonna see it anyway, so.
true, and I would imagine even if we were to turn the building 90 degrees and put it up in the northwest corner, there's going to be requests for increased landscaping along the north side as well.
Once you turn it, your pumps are gonna be further east, and once you hit the traffic light there, you still have to drive, you're coming through the intersection, and your pumps are still gonna be visible just past the building,
Just past the building, yes.
you know, but before the entrance.
Right.
So you still see the pumps prior to turning in.
You do, as long as you're traveling slow enough. If you're stopped at that intersection and you're coming across, you probably have enough time to make that decision. Or if you know the come and go's already there and that's where you're headed, you know it anyways, right? But it's that 60% of the pass-by traffic that we're trying to account for. And if you're blazing through the stoplight, I think there's more probability that you'll be able to see the pumps with the building facing this way than if you pass the building, catch it, and then be able to turn right. in my opinion.
If I could, please.
Yes, you can.
Here's some pictures, if you guys can distribute those, please, of the Highway 85 building. I'm Chris Ruff, I'm the developer of East Point, or one of the partners in East Point. We're doing you somewhat a disservice here in that we're behind on our subdivision submittal due to our buddies at CDOT. So you haven't seen all of East Point yet prior to this coming to you. This is coming to you because we're trying to simultaneously develop a site plan and complete our subdivision process. And so those two are working together. For them to proceed with their site plan, though, it's critical that we get this issue solved. So that's why they're here tonight. I'll try not to drone on, but it is truly critical that you guys understand why this is so important to make this waiver. This layout here optimizes the functionality of the site because of the shape of the site and the linkage to the site next door. If you notice down there in the southwest corner of the site, that's open, which will then link to the lot next door, which will have another commercial usage, perhaps a restaurant. To the east of Come and Go, you'll see a site plan in the not too distant future for the human being going in there. To the south of this, in the not too distant future, you'll see a site plan for a multi-building development. Water Valley North, shrunk down, 4 buildings, that type of thing. This is a major development on the east side of town that's meant to improve this entire corridor. When we get done with this, the view of Windsor as you come into town is going to change dramatically. And I know you're concerned about the appearance, as we are. I've lived in Windsor for 27 years, so I don't want to build something out there that looks bad. We stalked Come and Go for a year and a half to get them to come to this site because, I don't mean to be over dramatic, but their stores are probably the Taj Mahal of convenience stores. Doesn't change the fact they're a convenience store. I mean, they sell gas and they sell food inside. But you all have driven around enough to know the quality of the stores that those guys have. You've seen the store on East Eisenhower. You've seen the store. So what I gave you right there is the store they just built on Highway 85 in Evans at 32nd Street. This place is going to be the same exact store, same architecture, same all that stuff. You notice how nice that canopy is. You notice how nice the store is. I think those pictures do way more justice to it than the drawings that you saw previously. But this will be an extremely nice store, and it will be nicely landscaped out front. No, they're not going to build trees or put in trees and berms so that you can't see the store, because that makes no sense. But it's going to look nice, and the rest of that corridor will look nice as well. But functionally, it simply doesn't work well to put the building on the west side of the site. If you want to look at that proposal again, you'll note that the entrance and the exit are at the same place, up at the northeast corner of the site. So you got cars that are circling around. If you have any vehicle of any size coming in there, it's just setting up conflicts. This is the most functional layout for the shape of this site, taking into account the impacts of the City of Greeley water line that runs along the southwest, if you will, side of it. You know, when Greeley installed their water line, they went to Bellevue and they drew a straight line to Greeley and ran the water line that way. So that's what we're dealing with here, is the water line that goes right through this site. Incredible development issues in trying to bring this thing to market. And having these guys have to develop a store that doesn't work functionally for them makes no sense for the city, for them, or for our development. I won't speak on behalf of Kelly Arnold or Stacy Johnson, but I will tell you that they are extremely supportive of this entire concept, not specifically this, although Stacy would come address you and tell you that she's extremely supportive of this. But it's just very important that they be able to develop this the way that it works best for them functionally. Levy the requirements on them as to landscaping and making sure lights don't intrude on the highway, and put the knee wall in so headlights don't leave the site, and those kinds of things. That's fine. I think if you look at that architecture, you'll see a building that's very, very nice. And to punish them for the sins of 7-Eleven, you know, is ludicrous. Otherwise, I guess if we did that, my 2 kids wouldn't get to drive now because the first kid sucked at driving. And, you know, that's not
Probably
those
because
2
of how
kids'
you
fault.
grow in your
Nor is it their fault that 7-Eleven either didn't do what they were supposed to do or whatever. So this is a quality store, a quality site plan, needs enhancements, but we need a starting point, and this is a starting point to be able to design it this way and then move forward through the process. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. You know, I have no problems with the design that the applicant has, and, you know, I realize this has been a real challenging area to work with, and so we want to put something in that's going to be workable for the applicant, because there's, you know, pretty much nothing there. And I think there's things that can be put in place as far as agreements with landscaping, things like that, as far as the development agreement where things can be agreed to and documented, so everybody knows who's gonna be doing what and what the expectations are. So I'm okay with what the applicant wants to do with the format and how they want to put the building in. So I'm agreeing with the staff recommendation without number 1 being in there as far as rotating the building. Everything else I think can be workable and can work out for everybody and be a win-win situation. So that's my comments. Any other comments from the?
I have a question, if I could, for the applicant. You know, one of the concerns that Josh brought up was the protecting the view from the cemetery. Do you have room on the west side there to do more with landscaping? Or are you constrained by the water line and the lots?
It's probably because all the complaints we got from the cemetery.
Probably.
The answer is yes. There is some room over here in this area to do some, you know, whatever treatments we do on this side, we could look at doing something similar on this side as well. Chris, I don't know if you know what is to become of this area right here.
So that'll be the monument sign up there at the corner that identifies the entire.
Hey, Chris, could we get you to come to the podium for, even though everybody can hear you.
So up at the northwest corner of the subdivision is the monument sign. There'll be some landscaping there that identifies it as the East Point Commercial Center. Oops. The somewhat teardrop site that we have directly to the southwest of Come and Go is another commercial lot, which will likely have a building that does kind of back, or, you know, will do the appropriate facing and stuff, but will somewhat shield Come and Go, if you will, from the cemetery. Not really. I read that thing in the comp plan, and I guess I frankly don't know what the hell that means. It's a commercial zone, and if you go to the 2 paragraphs above that thing about the cemetery and read those, which I happen to bring with me if you want me to read them, it says, this is a commercial area at the intersection of 392 and 257, and we expect it to develop commercially, and it talks about the uses that will go in there, which are exactly the uses that we're putting in there. And so I get that probably we don't want to have, you know, a wild beach volleyball thing right there next, but I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm just saying I don't really know what that means, other than to make it look nice. And I think this does make it look nice. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Mr. Talon, you had a question or comment?
Well, I was just gonna point out, I agree with the chair on this. I think that with what we had on the east side of town, we're very restricted in things that we can put in that space. And the first thing is that now we're actually developing that space that's been there for 22 years and been an eyesore. So I would agree with the chair that we strike item number 1 with the turning and of the building and approve the waiver.
Other comments, Steve?
I have a question. So I understand what you're mentioning with the a study and 60% of folks make their decision as they're driving. It's our duty to have you make a strong argument that it's undue hardship. Beyond preference, do you have any quantifiable numbers? You think you're gonna lose X amount of dollars, or your revenue is gonna be decreased by a percentage? Do you have anything that can really quantify that undue hardship that it's our job to evaluate?
Well, if I might, they may not have that answer, but if you look at the rotated site plan and the entrance up there at the corner, can you show that, Paul, please? Or I'm low tech, so I don't know how to do that. Okay, I know that planning, or excuse me, that engineering is not gonna be happy about having a single entrance up there at the northeast corner that everything comes in and out of. And with this plan, it doesn't link to the lot to the south. So we're gonna have to have cross-access agreements, just like any shopping center does, where you go from one lot to another. And this is particularly key up here because it's just tough to get to. With the town's restriction on curb cuts within a certain distance from Highway 257, we're gonna have to be able to have that traffic go from one lot to the other through there to make the circulation work right. And so this thing takes away tremendously from their parking. You notice, count how many spaces are in front of the store there versus how many are associated with the store that they want to build. And the fact that they have inside dining, and the fact that, so 7-Eleven, I would say, is probably a 3,500 square foot store, and no disrespect to 7-Eleven, but nobody goes to eat at 7-Eleven. They don't have inside dining. These guys do. I've eaten there at Highway 85 in Evans. Nice sit down area and a nice place where they prepare food. So to have 12, 14 parking spaces for a 6,000 square foot store when you have inside dining makes no sense. It just doesn't fit is the problem. It just functionally doesn't fit. So I guess if we wanted to do a study, we could try and figure out how many people they can't serve because people who are going in to buy stuff at the store versus people who are going in there to buy some food to sit down and eat won't have any place to park. So but I don't know how to quantify that other than to anecdotally make that observation. I think that's fairly obvious when we look at that.
What's immediately to the south of the store in the staff proposed layout, the 90-degree turn, that empty bay there? What is that? Why can't that be parking?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
This was meant just to represent what could happen. You could rotate the store. It wasn't meant to accommodate or show parking. I'm sure you can accommodate more parking than is shown there. There's no reason you can't have cross-access. This was just a simple demonstration of a rotated product.
Okay.
Could additional access be added potentially on the
Cross
south?
to the southwest, sure.
Well, I have to echo Mr. Annabelle's concern. There's specific criteria for a waiver request, and I don't see the extraordinary practical difficulties and hardship. And I'm not sure how this betters the public interest by making this this design. So I'm struggling with that part. But if I go to, and Paul, maybe you can bring up page 22, where you had the two sites side by side. And I recognize it's just a general representation, but from my way of thinking, the visibility from the north side is about the same because you got this berming or these trees or landscaping along 392. But what you gain on the alternative layout is a lot better visibility on Highway 257 because they can see basically the entire island going north on 257, and they can make a retail decision that way. Whereas the original plan you proposed, the building blocks that almost entirely. So I don't think you made a strong case on why this is an undue hardship. I agree with Mr. Talon, the site needs something. it's been woefully underdeveloped for ages. But I don't see where the city's recommendation is providing an undue hardship for the applicant. That's all.
I would agree with Steve. I think we love to see this business in our city. I think it is very nice. But same way, I think rotate it, like you say, you can't have access back here. Like Paul said, this is a general schematic. You can still move, you still have access off of the southwest street there if you wanted it. But have a plan that would go through a very long process, doing a comprehensive plan and all that stuff. And then we immediately start right away giving waivers. And I still think, you know, if you rotate it, it's not going to make that big of a difference. I know when I go to the service station and stuff, I usually go to one I want to go to. I very seldom look to see, oh, most of the islands are up. I mean, even if the one I go to, I go and wait in line for it. I don't know if I'm that much different than the general public. People usually, I think, have places they want to go, and they go. And I personally, from my personal feeling, don't know if that makes a big a difference or not. How many people are in the bays or how many are not in the bays.
Paul, I have a question for you on the rotated site plan that you had plugged in there. How does that affect the flow and the traffic? Like Mr. Ruff was saying, there could be some issues with that where you wouldn't have the accessibility to some of the other lots in that development. So, you know, I guess we have to take a look at outside of just this piece of it, how it all coordinates.
I'm not sure if Mr. Ruff was referring to this parcel.
Yes.
I think you could take out some of that landscaping and still have the cross-access, which we encourage cross-access between parcels. I think that would still work.
So have we then just opened up the view from the cemetery to the canopy, which was what you didn't want to do? I'm not giving you a hard time because I have to work with you on a bunch of stuff. We sincerely agree to disagree on this particular one. And I think you guys are truly missing the point, respectfully, of how hard it is to lay out this site and make the traffic flow through this functionally from a convenience store perspective. That's the hardship. I'm not sure what else to quantify it with. If we take away, I mean, this is, you know, Paul spent a little bit of time rotating it, but when you start taking away the landscaping down there to access, excuse me, what we call Lot 1, that's really about the only place that you have left to put parking on this site. You're not going to put parking out there along the east edge next to that landscape berm because people are going to be in conflict driving in and out of the canopy pump islands, and you're not going to put it on the south end. It simply doesn't work. It's not just gosh, it'd be really nice if we had it this way. It simply doesn't work, and I don't know how else to explain that to you guys. It really doesn't.
You know, I think one of the key things for this whole development is having something like this that is workable, because that's going to be the anchor for other things you'll be able to attract. And we want to make it, I think, workable not only for the town, but for the applicant and for the developer. And I don't want us to be the roadblock or the source of something that is going to be a failure. And like I said before, I'm okay with the applicant's orientation of the building and not turning that. I think it gives a better traffic flow, like Mr. Ruff was saying, for the rest of the lots and everything like that. So you have to kind of take a look at outside of this specific lot itself. So a lot of things hanging on this approval or disapproval.
I think you guys will really like this development and like this improvement to the east side, but I can't emphasize enough, this is a key part of it. And it's not just a, gosh, it'd be nice if we could do it. It really needs to be that way to make it work.
Mr. Talon, you had a comment or?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just, I go back to the items that we were talking about with comparability for the, why are we worried about the comparability of the cemetery on that side? Because either way you look at it, it's not compromising the cemetery. I think that shouldn't even be in this discussion. And we're looking at flow of traffic on the two roads and flow of traffic through the space there. You know, I didn't get any complaints here lately from the cemetery on anything, so. You know, I understand, but we can deal with landscape coming up to that road, you know, and on the north side. And that'll make a difference there, but you're still gonna have to have access in there. And it is a commercial site. So, you know, it'd be different if I was looking at a residential site and we had to change things. Make it, but when you have a resident or a commercial site, this isn't bad. I still think that there's more parking, and for that size of store, you're gonna need that parking, so.
Josh?
Steve, I want to address your comment about the visibility from 257
Right.
coming northbound. I appreciate where you're looking at that as well. The complication there is that I don't know what's going to develop in that triangular lot to the south and west of Come and Go. And so guaranteeing visibility from 257 would be a concern as well, depending on what develops in that area. There could be view through there when it's built or not, but that would be out of our control as well.
Sure. I think that's a fair comment. I think it's also, I don't want to lose the fact that Paul said he just threw out a what if. Here's a potential. And so he hasn't looked at all of the options for parking. The applicant didn't bring up the parking issue, it was the developer. So again, I get back to the undue hardship piece. I don't see that that's been presented here tonight. And if need be, you can work more with the planning department to come up with Plan B that would be a good compromise for both parties. Because again, he said he just threw that out as a concept.
Sure, understood, and I appreciate that as well. You know, we haven't, if we're looking at the concept that Paul threw together, one thing that would definitely have to happen here is that building would have to be mirrored such that the patio area that's facing 392 would end up on the south side of the building. And what we have laid out in our concept is that we'd like to put head-end parking next to that patio so that there's easy access to the patio. Now, fitting the patio in with additional head-end parking down that south corner probably doesn't work in that area the way that it's laid out there. I understand that this is rough, and it could use some tweaking. The other thing that we have to look at is the diesel canopy as well, which is not shown on Paul's rotated view. We have to find room for the diesel canopy as well as the main fueling canopy that has the 7 spots. So that in itself provides a little tougher site planning effort to try to figure out how trucks, where to put it and how trucks maneuver through it and then back out the site.
Granted, but you're proposing to have the diesel canopy kind of at the gateway of the town, at the intersection of 257 and 392. Your diesel canopy is going to be on the west side.
Agreed.
Under your proposal.
Mm-hmm.
That's not visually attractive in my mind.
Understood. And, you know, back to the comment about buffering from the cemetery as well and trying to screen kind of that view where that diesel canopy is. We do have the ability to landscape in that area, as I noted. Chris brought up the fact that up in that northwest corner would be the monument or entry feature, so that would help as well. One thing that I forgot to mention is that we do have our fuel tanks. The underground fuel tanks are slated for that corner. And so we have to be careful about the landscaping that we put in and around those tanks. But I believe that we could do something on the far west side of those tanks in terms of landscaping to kind of try to screen that area. But definitely on the south of those tanks, we could add more landscaping next to the diesel canopy as well.
Any other questions, comments from?
I think I'd like to see the applicant to work more with staff. If this particular one doesn't work with staff a little more and come back to us, because I really don't like it the way originally proposed.
I agree. I don't think alternatives have been adequately really thought through, and with that in mind, I don't think undue hardship's really been proven.
Since I would need a motion on this at some time here this evening, I would like to have a motion in the affirmative, and we can vote on it from there. So, just throwing that out there.
Mr. Chair, from what we have here, I'll move that we recommend approval of the waiver request with the following conditions as stated by staff.
To be clear, all three conditions?
Except for the rotation.
The way it's written.
The way it's written,
Including the rotation.
Approving it.
yeah,
With the
I
rotation?
second it.
Okay.
it's positive,
Is it with the rotation?
yes.
I'll support that.
Do I have a second on that?
I second it.
Oh, okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Tallon, second by Commissioner Harding, that we approve the waiver request with the conditions noted by staff. And there are three conditions there. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed for it will vote no. And the motion carries 4-3. With myself, Commissioner Tellon, and Commissioner Dennison opposing. Moving on to our next agenda item, which is public hearing and recommendation to the town board. So we will now close our regular meeting, open up a public hearing for rezoning petition for Troutman subdivision, second filing lots 1 through 6, tract A. Paul?
Thank you. The applicant, Vima Partners LLC, represented by Mr. Stuart Lowenstein of Vima Partners and Mr. Tom Siegel of Water Valley Land Company, are requesting to rezone 6 lots in a portion of a tract within the Troutman subdivision. This is being reviewed in accordance with Section 16, 520 of the Municipal Code. The site is located on the southeast of the intersection of County Road 17 and Crossroads Boulevard. The site is currently zoned E2, estate residential. The proposal is to rezone to the general commercial zoning, and staff is concurrently reviewing an associated minor subdivision which would combine 6 lots in a tract into one parcel, which would total about 23 acres. The purpose of this rezoning is to allow for the future construction of the Timberline Windsor Church. The E2 zoning only allows small places of assembly, defined as a building with seating capacity of no more than 400. The church anticipates exceeding that 400 capacity and would be classified as a large place of assembly, and therefore is requesting this GC, general commercial zoning. The applicants did hold a neighborhood meeting, and the summary of that is included in your packets. The notification for that was done in accordance with the municipal code. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval of the rezoning petition and ordinance to the town board with the following condition. All remaining Planning Commission and staff comments shall be addressed. Staff requests that the following be entered into the record: application and supplemental materials, staff memo and supporting documents, and the recommendation. With that, I do want to note the applicants are here. If there are any questions for them.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Since this is the public hearing portion of the process, is there anyone in the audience who has any comments pertaining to this agenda item? If you could come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll be on the 3-minute clock.
Yes. My property is on a railroad and 17.
Could you give us your name and address for the record?
My name is Larissa Clem, and my address is 29098 Wall County Road 70. And I have right now practically zero visibility when I'm turning to Road 17, because you know the railroad and a little bit hill, And if we, right now, there is not much traffic, but if we have more traffic, how we going to deal with that? Because it's not if accident happen, but when accidents happen, it's very difficult for me to turn to Road 17 from my property because I have no visibility. So, there will be solution for that? And if we build the church and more traffic, how I'm going to deal with those problems? And the road is very narrow over there, and there is a bridge. So maybe we should address this problem first.
So your residence is south of the proposed church?
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
Yes, and I right now it's difficult for me to turn right or left because the hill a little bit, and there is no visibility, and the road is very narrow over there. And if we put so much traffic on it, first we should deal with the road. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Ken?
For the record, I would like to disclose I'm a sitting member of the town board and that I am here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to the planning commission. Although I will be present during the proceedings, I will not be giving my opinion to participating in this discussion. I will not let tonight's proceedings influence or affect my review of this matter when it comes before the town board. I will make my decision at the town board level based only on the evidence presented during the town board public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Anybody else in the audience have any comments, questions pertaining to this that they'd like to present during the public hearing?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Sheffel, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no.
Good evening, Chairman, Planning Commission.
Just a moment.
Oh, sorry.
My screen isn't catching
Slow
up
fingers,
quick
no
enough here.
problem.
And the motion carries unanimously. We'll now move to the next agenda item, which is a recommendation to the town board for the rezoning petition for the Troutmine subdivision, second filing, lots 1 through 6 and track 8. Mr. Martin.
Good evening, Chairman, Planning. In the spirit of being expeditious because of the long agenda, I'm here to answer questions, and we're the applicant. We're here tonight because this did fall into the large place of gathering category. Otherwise, the zoning would have been right just to have a use by special review for this church. We're excited to have Timberline expanding. We're excited to see their growth. I didn't get the young lady's name ahead of us, but I think I know where she lives, and it's a mile to the south of this site. And I concur with her. Road 17 is a 1960s roadway section. We've improved it all the way to the roundabout at Crossroads. And from Highway 34, we've improved it north to Southgate Drive to its ultimate section. But there's about 2 miles of 17 that needs improved to today's standards with sidewalks and wider right-of-ways, turn lanes, etc. This church rezone is part of the process that will incubate the development of the Troutman subdivision, which will then ultimately build that road section a whole nother mile to the south. It won't quite get to the draw, but it gets to that area. So it's a process, and I appreciate her concerns on traffic out there. That roadway section is and that's an arterial into Windsor. So maybe we could accelerate that discussion someday if we had more arterial street fees and looking for a place to go with them. But I'm here to answer questions.
Any questions, comments for the applicant from the
I just
commission?
had one quick question. Is this a relocation of the church, or is this a new
Correct.
location?
Nope, the church that's at the bottom of the hill on Crossroads at the
In
corner
the
of...
strip center? Yeah,
They're
gotcha.
busting at the seams, growing at capacity, and originally they were looking at buying 3 of these residential lots, and following what their growth trajectory is, we ended up working a deal to actually get them some other originally planned open space in the Troutman subdivision and since they'll be a single user, they'll have places for playgrounds and trails and other things. So we're really putting a lot prettier use on the end of that than just the row of a bunch of back of houses. So they're gonna end up with close to 20. A little bit related, but unrelated, I was giving a site tour to a national retailer on Monday for our Windsor Eagle Crossing property, and they told me that they develop heavily in the Stapleton subdivision in Denver. And I don't know if you know about that one, but that's the largest. It was a redevelopment of the old Stapleton Airport Giant. It's the largest project in Denver. And they accounted for no church sites. So the Stapleton redevelopment has no church sites in it. And he was telling me, we were driving around and looking at all these church sites, and what a welcome feeling that was, because churches do such great good for the community. So he was telling me about Stapleton, and I wasn't quite sure I could believe him when I looked it up, and there isn't. The churches use gymnasiums and those kind of things down in that area when they want to assemble. So I'm excited to see Timberline expand.
Any other comments, questions?
I like it.
Mr. Chair, I move that we forward recommendation of approval of rezoning petition and ordinance to the town board following the conditions as set by staff.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Hannibal, that we forward a recommendation of approval to the rezoning petition and ordinance to the town board with the condition listed. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Voted once.
Vote early, vote often, and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Now close our regular meeting, open up a public hearing for subject property mineral and rain dance subdivision. Paul.
Thank you once again. This major subdivision application for the Rain Dance subdivision has been filed by Mr. David Nelson and Mr. Martin Lind of the Rain Dance Land Company. As seen on the enclosed vicinity map, the subject property is north of Crossroads Boulevard and approximately a half-mile east of County Road 13. In accordance with the Colorado Revised Statutes, prior to the first public hearing on a development proposal, the applicant must provide notice to all owners and or lessees of minerals that lie beneath the surface of the subject property. As it may be seen on the enclosed certification, notice of the pending development to mineral owners and or lessees has been provided. The public hearing is being held again to comply with the Colorado statutes. As such, this hearing is solely for the applicant and the town of Windsor to receive any comments from mineral owners or lessees on the proposed development. Therefore, no action is required on the part of the Planning Commission. I do want to note we did receive a objection letter from Anadarko, and it is included on the H drive for your review, and I have a couple hard copies if anybody needs those. A representative from Anadarko is here as well, and I do want to enter into the record that objection letter and also point out that this is a preliminary approval, so there wouldn't be any conflict with the state statute to take action on that despite the objection. That would simply need to be resolved prior to action on the final plat. So with that, if there's any questions for myself.
I don't believe so.
Mr. Chair,
Since there is,
once again,
just since this is just a public hearing, so I think we'll be okay there. Ken, go ahead.
for the record, again, I would like to disclose that I'm a sitting member of the town board, and I am here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to the Planning Commission. Although I will be present during the public hearing, I will not be giving my opinion or participating in the discussion. I will not let tonight's proceedings influence or affect my review of this matter when it comes before the town board. I will make my decision at the town board level based solely on the evidence presented during the town board public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Since this is a public hearing portion of the process, is there anyone in the audience who has any comments pertaining to this agenda item? Now is the time to come to the podium and give us your information.
Good evening. My name is Clint Abear, and I'm here to represent Anadarko Petroleum Corporation. Our local offices are at 1099 18th Street, Suite 1800, Denver, Colorado 80202. As Paul stated, we did object yesterday by email and a letter to the applicant and to the City of Windsor. Anadarko Land Corporation, Anadarko E&P, Onshore LLC collectively own the mineral interest in Section 31, and Kerr-McGee Oil and Gas Onshore LP owns the part of the leasehold for that section. So collectively, those three companies I mentioned are the Anadarko entities. So we wish to object until a surface use agreement has been reached between the Anadarko entities and the applicant. I believe Monday, I was contacted by Tara Sinclair. She's an employee of the applicant, and we're in the process of mutually negotiating a surface use agreement that would cover this section of land. So, here to answer any questions that you may have.
Since this is the public hearing portion process, we're just getting input right now, so
Okay.
that's kind of what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Clint. Anyone else in the audience have any comments on this agenda item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Harding, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no. I have to look over my shoulder to see what the vote was. There we go. And motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is a preliminary major subdivision for Rain Dance subdivision. And, Paul, you're on.
The applicants, Mr. David Nelson and Mr. Martin Lind of Rain Dance Land Company, represented by Mr. Tom Siegel of Water Valley Land Company, and Mr. Mitch Black of Norris Design, have submitted a preliminary major subdivision plat known as the Rain Dance subdivision. It is being reviewed in accordance with Article 9, Chapter 17 of the Municipal Code. The site is located north of Crossroads Boulevard, approximately half-mile east of County Road 13. The zoning on the property is residential mixed use. It does have a planned unit development zoning, with the underlying zoning being the RMU. The subdivision encompasses approximately 765 acres. Is zoned PUD, and this is the first of numerous filings anticipated with the Rain Dance development. Also being reviewed simultaneously are off-site improvements to Crossroads Boulevard and Rain Dance Parkway. Rain Dance Parkway being the north-south street. The plat includes 354 single-family residential lots. Lots range in size from approximately 5,500 to 14,000 square feet. And you'll note that 5,500 is smaller than our standard lot size allowed. However, with the PUD, they did allow for smaller lot sizes, so it's in compliance with the PUD. There are 22 open space tracts, including drainage, utility, and access, totaling about 8 acres. There's one farm tract, which is approximately 21 acres, one future development tract of 620 acres, and approximately 60 acres of public right-of-way dedication. And slightly more detailed view of the plat with Crossroads along the bottom here. The neighborhood, or the applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting in January of this year, and there were approximately 22 neighbors in attendance, and enclosed are neighborhood meeting notes with discussion topics and responses. The notification was sent in accordance with the municipal code for that meeting. The Application is consistent with the comprehensive plan, including the growth framework, goal, and numerous objectives, as well as the residential areas framework plan objectives. The recommendation, staff recommends Planning Commission approve the preliminary major subdivision as presented, subject to the following condition. All remaining Planning Commission and staff comments shall be addressed in the final major subdivision application. Staff requests the following be entered into the record: application and supplemental materials, staff memo and supporting documents, and the recommendation. The applicants do have a presentation they would like to share with you, so unless there's any immediate questions, I'd turn it over to them.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Good evening, Chairman, Planning Commission members. Again, my name is Martin Lind, 1625 Pelican Lakes Point, Windsor, Colorado. We're excited to be here tonight. This is 2 decades in the planning. You guys saw a lot of this stuff when we came through with the PUD and all the conceptual. If you've been south on 7th and seen the Pelican Farm subdivision and all the orchards going in and the farms, the massive park, the exceptional amenities that are going in up there, this is Rain Dance will manifest that significantly. We're very, very excited about this project. Location of it again is just Crossroads and Road 13, and it's 1,500 total acres. We have 300 acres on the north dedicated towards recreation golf. We have the filings that were in front of you tonight, and there'll be some more subsequently following in sequence. Staff's done a great job of keeping us in the queue. There should be no surprises on this project. One beautiful thing about getting to develop a property this big is that you avoid those later hiccups like your first item on the agenda tonight where there happens to be a rogue water line through and you're trying to work around issues. And we think that we've, excuse me, spent a lot of time pre-planning this thing. It's going to be a real harmonious flow of development, and of course the absorption is based on the market, but we're in front of you tonight to think that we're going to be putting in the first phase this next summer. We've worked with the school district. All the dedications have been completed there. We worked with a regional petroleum line that needed to be moved, and we're right on the finishing design of that. And as you know, Anadarko filed a late notice on this deal. In the spirit of casting a big net and catching all fish, if you notice, the letter says it was addressed to Erie, and it was for, they're opposing the annexation of this property and the zoning, which is not what we're here for tonight. And it's just I'm very confident that that issue will be solved long before we get to Planning Commission with you, and we think we have documents where it's already solved. But it's just a big company, and they're protecting their interests, and we respect that. So we'll have that mitigated long before final plat with Anadarko. In the spirit of what we had brought forth in the PUD, that's what's in front of you. If you have been up on the new Liberty Road and seen that, it's literally stunning when you drive that Longs Peak view. And originally the Windsor Comprehensive Plan showed New Liberty going through here. We moved it down to where it met with Steeplechase to create an arterial all the way from Crossroads over into the Eagle Crossing or the new Brands East development by the Summit. And this angle right here was conceived by our land planners. I'd love to take credit for it, but they're the ones that brought it to me and said, we were on that hill and there's just a crazy view. We should swing everything in this development. So all collector streets, the big park, everything will have a permanent view of Longs Peak, and it's just stunning up there. So we're super excited. We're also super excited about what's going to happen on Crossroads, because it's kind of the very big entryway to Windsor, and this is a absolute stunning entryway to a development right here, and we're real excited to bring that to you in the future. Again, this the continuance of the farms that are going on Pelican Farms at Crossroads and 17 will continue on all the way down. Crossroads, it gets a little tighter in here through the commercial, but then it picks back up and it goes all the way for over a mile back up along High Point and Steeplechase subdivision. So there's massive setbacks from the arterial streets for trails and farms. The filing in front of you is the plat that we brought before you tonight on the preliminary, and we think it's very consistent with what we showed in the PUD. Well thought out, great trail systems, great connectors, pocket parks, 50 and 60 foot lots, and they're getting tweaked a little bit as we speak right now, but the collector system between the parks, you notice this has a walkway pedestrian system right through here so that you can get back and forth through the parks. The entryway on Crossroads is being refined, but it's going to be magnificent. And again, because of the size of this project, we can invest and dedicate an enormous amount of energy to that first impression and Windsor's first impression as you come in on Crossroads, and we're very excited about this project. These are orchards. You could end up being almost 1,000 feet deep into the project before you're really into the subdivision. So very, very unique, strictly because of the mass of the area. Parks are all agricultural themed, so orchards this is an agricultural sustainable project. We actually will be growing crops out here that will be consumed on site.
I want to give everybody the opportunity to be a sharecropper.
You know, I grew up farming. You know, you can take the kid off the farm, right? But yeah, it's exciting. This is fun, and of course I live out in that area, and I'm excited to really get to bring one. I think this will be, you know, you guys get to see a lot of neat projects in Windsor, but this one's world class. It really is, and we've learned a lot in the overnight success we've had at Water Valley in the last 30 years. So we're going to use all that we've learned and try to bring it to fruition here on this project. Happy to answer questions, and I have a whole team of high-paid experts right here that if you need more technical.
Any questions from the commission or the applicant? Any comments?
So this particular phase is all single family, is it not?
Yes. Yes. And again, this is interesting. You know, most developments start with single family and then the multifamily follows. We're just tonight in front of you with one of our first multifamily projects in Water Valley, and we've been waiting for this for a long time. So there is multifamily on the master plan, planned over in this area right here and some right here. I think we'll be in front of you with multifamily fairly rapid up in this area. We're hoping to get that signed up. So, you know, Windsor's really lacking affordability in multifamily, so we think it's coming.
Ken, did we give you the opportunity to give your?
I did because it was the same development.
So you're good?
Probably should be technically correct if you want me to read it. But
I just want to make sure I gave you the opportunity for
Yeah.
your comments.
I will discuss that with you.
I kinda
It's the
lost track
same. It's
there.
the same development, so I'm combining them if it's the same. So.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
We'll move it along. Okay, no.
Vote on Ken's position.
Yeah, I think we know Ken's position.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the preliminary major subdivision as presented, subject to the following conditions as presented by staff.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Commissioner Tellen, seconded by Commissioner Harding, that we approve the preliminary major subdivision as presented, subject to the condition noted. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, we'll close the regular meeting, open up the public hearing for rezoning petition Water Valley South 6, filing lots 6 and 7. Carlin, you get to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The item before you is a request to rezone existing residential mixed-use zoning to light industrial. This is for Water Valley Subdivision 6, filing, lots 6 and 7. The property owner is Martin Lynn, represented by Tom Siegel, and the applicant is Sam Couts of Ripley Design. The rezoning request has been reviewed with Article 5, Chapter 16 of the Municipal Code that outlines the amending procedures for to establish zoning districts. The applicant has provided a narrative, which is included in your packet, that provides a justification for the request. The applicant, as staff recommended, they have done a market research analysis to determine that there would be a need to rezone this property from residential mixed use to light industrial to serve the surrounding area for a proposed mini storage area. The site's located, as you can see here, just west of State Highway 257 and southeast of Crossroads Boulevard. This is Rancho Drive down here, and in this area there's a number of single-family homes that are under construction. As stated, the existing zoning, residential mixed use. This property is adjacent to other industrial light. This area over here, as you may remember, was the vaults storage area. Additionally, this is right along the railroad corridor, and there is, quite a bit of noise in this area, and it provides a good buffer between the industrial nature and the residential neighborhood to the south.
Anything else?
And yes, I was just going to mention, of course, Mr. Lynn was just speaking of rain dance and the different lot sizes and multifamily. Therefore, of course, there's going to be a future need for those residents to have an area to store items. And this is in close proximity to a future multifamily as well as future single family. The property consists of approximately 7.8 acres. They are concurrently processing a minor subdivision that would combine lots 6 and 7. And this just shows that the land use plan would need to be updated if this rezone was approved. Currently, it's shown as the residential mixed use on the land use plan, and would be changed to the purple here representing industrial. There was a neighborhood meeting held on January 10th. This occurred at the same time as the Troutman rezone. There are minutes or summary of that meeting in your packet. There are 3 attendees. The neighborhood meeting requirements were met as shown here, and then the public hearing notifications were done per code as shown here. Here's just a photo of the posting. It's located right along Crossroads Boulevard. Staff did receive 1 email inquiry on this proposal, no objections to date. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval of the rezoning petition and ordinance to the town board with the following condition, that all remaining Planning Commission and staff comments shall be addressed, those being technical in nature. The staff recommends that the following be entered into the record: the application, supplemental materials, staff memos, supporting documents, and their recommendation. That concludes my presentation, and Sam with Ripley Design has a presentation that he would like to share.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, at this time, I'll read my statement.
okay, Ken?
Mr. Chair, regarding tonight's agenda, item 6, rezoning petition for Water Valley South 6 filing, as well as agenda item 7, a potential recommendation to the town board. For the record, I would like to disclose I'm a sitting member of the town board, and I am here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to the Planning Commission. Although I will be present during these proceedings, I will not be giving my opinion or participating in the discussion. I would not let tonight's proceedings influence or affect my review of this matter when it comes before the town board. I will make my decision at the town board level based only on the evidence presented during the town board public hearing.
Okay, thanks, Ken. The applicant, here we go. Get your name and address and,
Good evening, Sam Coots with Ripley Design. We're at 419 Canyon Avenue, Suite 200 in Fort Collins, Colorado, 80521. Thanks for having us tonight and hearing this rezone petition for the 6th filing of Water Valley South, lots 6 and 7. And I know Carlin just went through this. I'll be quick, just showing quick site context of the 2 lots looking to rezone here on Crossroads Boulevard near 257. And there are 2 parcels totaling about 7.5 acres, currently zoned residential mixed use, and we are proposing the limited industrial IL. The reason for the rezoning is the applicant would like to develop the 2 parcels into an enclosed storage facility, which is a permitted use in the limited industrial zone. And as Carlin mentioned, the applicant had an independent market study done, which ended up showing a shortage of over 100,000 square feet of storage space in the town of Windsor. And as you'll see in the months to come with the site plan review, the proposed development consists of roughly 80,000 square feet of storage and a small 600 square foot office to accompany. We have 3 main justifications for the rezone. I'll run through them pretty quickly here. And the first and really the main justification is that the proposed use meets the intent of the existing zoning as well as the comprehensive plan. And the current zoning and the land use designations are really intended to promote this service-oriented use. And residential mixed use does allow for an enclosed light industrial use. However, it doesn't specifically say the enclosed storage use as the limited industrial does. Also in the comprehensive plan, they outlined the 2 parcels to be future general commercial. And GC encompasses local commercial uses that typically serve the needs of residents and the immediate surrounding areas. So when you think about a storage facility, you really think about it as a light industrial use, but it has that service-oriented use component to it. It provides a service to the residents nearby. The second justification is that this rezoning these 2 parcels won't adversely impact the supply of the commercial land. I've listed out several either planned developments or larger areas that are zoned within 2 miles of this site. And when you add them all up, we're roughly around 300 acres of either planned or zoned commercial land that when you remove the 7.5 acres that we're requesting, it's unlikely that you'll see an adverse impact in that supply of your commercial land. The final justification here is that there's a clear demand for the storage in the area, and that was proven by the market study that the applicant had done. That study showed a 96% average occupancy of the existing storage here in Windsor. When you combine that with the 14,000 homes within 6 miles of the site, 2,000 which are in Water Valley, with another 2,800 planned, and that combined with the multifamily coming online, as you've heard tonight, with Lighthouse Point being under construction now. South Hill is in the site plan process, and then Raindance's future master planned units. Multifamily generates the biggest need for the storage. So the market study outlined the storage market in the area as a B, where A is the best, and the site specifically as a B+. So just quick summary, we do believe that the proposed use meets the intent of the existing zoning as well as the comprehensive plan. And rezoning this land doesn't look like it will adversely impact the supply of your commercial land in Windsor. And clearly there is a demand for the storage. And that is it. I will answer any questions as you have them.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Since this is the public hearing portion of the process, is there anyone in the audience who has any other comments that they want to give pertaining to this agenda item?
Move to close the public hearing.
Seconded.
Been moved by Commissioner Tallon, seconded by Commissioner Harding, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no. And the motion carries unanimously. Reconvene our regular meeting, moving on to the next agenda item, which is a recommendation to the town board on the rezoning petition for Water Valley South, 6 filing lots 6 and 7. Carlin, anything else?
I have nothing further to add.
Comments, questions from the commission, or either the applicant or staff? Anything else, Martin?
I'm here to answer questions in light of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend approval of the rezoning petition and the ordinance to the town board.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tallon, seconded by Commissioner Annable, that we forward a recommendation of approval of the rezoning request and ordinance to the town board. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes, those opposed vote no. And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item is site plan presentation for a preliminary site plan, South Hill, 4th filing, lot 1. Carlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is a request for approval of a preliminary site plan. The application is for South Hill, 4th filing, lot 1. Again, the property owner is Martin Lynn. The applicant is Larry Buckendorf, and his company is Pelican Bluffs Holdings. The applicant's representative is Morgan Kidder, also with Pelican Bluffs Holdings. The preliminary site plan has been reviewed with Chapter 17 of the Municipal Code. The purpose of the site plan to develop land is a unit development, zone land for multifamily, commercial or industrial uses, and develop land that could have, let's see, to amend the, okay, let me just skip through this. So the location is east of 7th Street, north of, across Boulevard. Along here are the single-family lots that are in progress of development. This property is included in the RMU residential mixed use on the land use plan, and it is also zoned accordingly. Just an overview of the site layout here. In this area, a clubhouse is proposed, tot lot play area. The site plan also incorporates a trail system along Crossroads Boulevard that will tie into systems to the west and north. Overall, there are, 4.8 acres, and I thought I had the units here. 42 units. Overall, 58.6% open space and only 13.1% building coverage. This just gives an overview of the landscape plan. They've paid careful attention to more landscaping along Crossroads Boulevard with increased buffering adjacent to the parking areas, as well as in these areas you'll see additional plantings, and the applicant may want to go over some of the amenities, but I've included some of the draft, or I guess preliminary building elevations. This is at the clubhouse. They've incorporated a number of different materials and different roof lines to dress up the architecture. And these are the preliminary building elevations. Staff is recommending approval of the site plan as presented, subject to the condition that all remaining planning commission and staff comments are addressed in the final site plan application. Staff is requesting that the following be entered into the record: the staff memo and supporting documents, as well as the recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
You said the applicant had a presentation to give, or?
I will ask.
While she's doing that, Mr. Chair, regarding the preliminary site plan for
Where do you
South Hill.
stand on this item?
South Hill fourth filing. For the record, I would like to disclose I'm a sitting member of the town board, and I'm here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to the Planning Commission. Although I will be present during this proceeding, I will not be giving my opinion or participating in the discussion. I would not let tonight's proceedings influence or reflect my review of this matter when it comes before the town board. I will make my decision at the town board level based solely on the presentation, evidence presented during the town board public hearing.
Thanks, Ken.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Morgan Kidder with Pelican Bluff Holdings LLC, 7251 West 20th Street, Greeley, Colorado. Thank you for your time this evening. We've got some additional information to go along with what Carlin has provided with you tonight. Carlin, thank you for all the work that you put in and helped us with on this project. Here are some basic statistics of the site. Again, the open space is 58%. Building coverage is only 13%. So this is going to have a similar feeling as Pelican Farms. A lot of the landscaping that we are incorporating along Crossroads Boulevard will mirror what has been built at Pelican Farms. Again, here's the site plan that shows the clubhouse to the east as you're coming up Crossroads, and then 7 buildings that have 6 units each are around 1,100 square feet per unit, and they will be a rental product charged at market rate. Again, landscape plan, you can see some of the linear plantings similar to Pelican Farms. They're along Crossroads Boulevard, as well as many plantings in and throughout the site along with the buildings. Here are some examples of elevations on similar project that we've recently finished in Johnstown, Colorado, showing the sixplex building. In this case, they are stucco, which we are under consideration using on this project. Some different colors and stones that are used throughout the project, just to give you an idea of the visuals of the buildings. Here we're showing what is similar to the tot lot that we are considering for this area. It is mainly used for 2 to 5 year old children, and we see that these are quite popular in our multifamily developments. And with that, I will open it up for any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the commission or comments for either the applicant or the staff?
I think that,
Steve?
So if I look at this correctly, there's no enclosed parking, is that correct? So all parking's outside?
Correct.
Is there any consideration to modifying that?
We are looking at the possibility of adding carports similar to the Spanos project on 2534 interchange that provide cover, but they're still open so they would not obstruct any views.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair.
Victor?
Yes, I just was gonna comment that I think that this is a well-needed project in housing and for our multifamily housing. I think that it's gonna be a quality product that we're bringing to Windsor. It's gonna, on that arterial there, that's gonna be a major showplace.
If I could.
No, I'm sorry, you already had your chance,
I'm sorry.
Martin.
Yes, Martin, yeah. Sorry to occupy your whole agenda tonight, but we've been working with staff a lot in the last several years, and we knew that the Crossroads corridor's time was gonna come sooner or later, and it certainly is coming. This developer is not only Windsor-based, their office is in Greeley, but all the principals live in Windsor. They educate their kids in Windsor, and they care. And one of the deals that I'm real sensitive about South Hill is what is Crossroads gonna look like, because we're spending a lot and investing a lot in the corridor out there. And so, going back to the site plan, they've committed to, they've committed to building this clubhouse and swimming pool on the edge that overlooks the entire valley. It'll be a stunning place for their residents to relax at. They've committed to not having anything but emergency access between the private neighborhood to the north, which are extremely exciting lots. I don't know if you've been up there on that new road, but stunning view of Windsor. And these lots have been on the books since 2006. The giant amount of berming and landscaping that's going to go on in this area here is going to really create I don't think you'll ever see in Windsor a developer commit this much dedication of earth moving and landscaping to buffer between two different residential uses, which is a multifamily, and it's not even high density multifamily, but yet really preserving the integrity of the single family lots to the north. In the prior, I don't know if we have a bigger overview here, but in the prior application on the mini storage, under the market study, we went ahead and studied the commercial up at that corner, taking into consideration a project that you'll see in a couple months, which would be the phase 2 of this, which is across the road, across this road right here, over here. And that will require a rezone for a parcel of this to continue on this product, which then justifies them spending this much on the clubhouse. Water Valley is a unique community that allows golf carts. So everything is hooked through trails. This subdivision here is hooked through trails down to get to Water Valley, the restaurants and all the golf courses without ever getting on the arterial road. So we're real excited about finally getting a high-quality multifamily, more affordable place for people to start their families and what have you. So there's a big master plan going on out there. Staff knows all about it. They've worked great with us to make sure that it's coming. But Crossroads is going to be busy, and I'm hoping that we're not 7 items on your agenda a lot, but Crossroads is going to. CDOT spending $50 million on the Crossroads intersection. It's going to be we're going to be busy out on Crossroads, but we're very proud and excited of what we're bringing in front of you. So thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the preliminary site plan as presented, subject to the conditions as presented by staff.
Second it.
Moved by Commissioner Tellon, seconded by Commissioner Harding, that we approve the preliminary site plan as presented, subject to the conditions noted. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Communication from Planning Commission. Tim?
No, sir.
You just don't want to drag the meeting on anymore?
I had a 35-minute presentation, but I'll save it.
Please. Mr. Harding.
Nothing.
Steve?
In the interest of time, no.
Mr. Tellon?
No communications.
Jerry?
I'm just kind of curious, on 7-Eleven, there's no way to hold him to promises? That's kind of surprised when I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics were around that, so I would've thought there'd have been something in the development agreement.
That's all for me.
Nothing.
Nada? Ken, our town board liaison, where do you stand on all these items? We don't know your opinion.
My mind is supposed to be clear of all this, so I'm not influenced. Clearing my mind
You
is not
leave here with a blank mind,
That's not
just
a
like the rest of
problem.
us, yeah.
It's not a problem.
Communications from staff, Paul?
No, sir.
Carlin?
No, I just apologize for my little slip up on the last item. We've had a few late nights, and I threw that together pretty late on a Friday night, so.
Just this
Shows.
once.
Yeah.
We won't count any of the others, so. Scott?
No communications.
Crystal?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Today to make up from this.
I know it's time to go, my blood's dripping.